Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public service announcement. For regular viewers and listeners of AWI Pod, please do not be offended, as this program contains good wrestling.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another action-packed episode. It's Warring to Attitude. This is the 34th edition. I, of course, am your host, Brent Piles, and with me, as always, because I cannot war to Attitude all by my lonesome, is my fearless co-host. He is the Ballroom Brawling Disco Dance, Dynamite Stretching Intercontinental Playboy. Folks, he's more over than VAR reviews at GA Wrestling. Glenn Abbott. Glenn, how you doing?
I've calmed down.
It took a few days.
I don't think Mikel Arteta has, but I have, judging by his press conference today.
Yeah, we can assume that our manager will be getting some sort of suspension, I assume, or fine after.
I doubt it.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. They've been very quiet about it. Normally, if a manager comes out and says something at the weekend, by Monday, he's suspended.
Right.
I think it's a case of we'll sit on our hands and hope this goes away, it blows over, because we don't want to stir up this hornet's nest because we copped up.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know how a goal can count when the ball clearly went out of bounds. Like I was like, in real time. I'm like, it's out of bounds. What are we doing here?
Even if you take it being over the line and being out of bounds out of the equation, the guy was clearly offside. You could see a white sock clearly past the play of everybody else.
Yeah,
which was Newcastle's sock. So that was one thing. The other thing is the guy had to score the goal, pushed our defender, two hands in the back and pushed him over.
Yeah.
So it didn't really matter about whether the ball was in or out. A, it was offside, and B, it was a foul.
So I was trying to watch three things at once by this point. I had wrestling on, the Nebraska game on, and football on. So I didn't see the offside, but I definitely saw the foul, and I certainly saw the ball was out. So they fucked up three times. Yeah,
believe me, I have seen it from every angle and stop framed and everything in the last couple of days from various different people.
I believe it, Glenn. I believe it. But yeah, I don't. Like we always say, VAR giveth, but sometimes VAR taketh away. Or VAR doesn't taketh away at all when it should.
Yes, exactly.
It's just the way it goes, I guess. And
yeah, but the thing with the VAR is watching it in replay and everything was supposed to take away referee error. But all it's done is added more.
Yeah.
And the other interesting thing is, which I'm not going to talk about on air, I'll tell you afterwards what I've also found out about the people that were running the VAR on Saturday.
Yeah.
Anyway, talking about Saturday, there was a pretty good pay-per-view or PLL
premium live event, the PLE.
PLE, whatever it is.
PLE.
Yeah, crowd jaw wasn't bad at all.
I would go further than that. I would say it was pretty goddamn good. I mean, the only match on there that wasn't interesting to me or didn't have anything compelling about it was the 5-way.
Yeah, I know. And that was a total pointless. Just get women on the card for no reason.
Yeah, and like, WWE, they've been doing really good stuff lately, but I think the one thing that they probably done this with more. The one main thing to me that they've super fumbled is they've completely fumbled Rhea Ripley's title reign, because like she's super over and supposed to be dominating, but I don't feel like she ever has a match. And when she does have a match, it's not a decent match. She hasn't had a decent feud. I just don't think it really hasn't went well for her as opposed to like being the champion. I don't think.
Apart from Becky Lynch, they've got no credible opponent on Raw. That's the problem.
That's true.
All the decent ones are on SmackDown.
That's true. That is true. And we also got the return. Kairi Sane is back now. She popped up to help Io defeat Bianca Belair, and Bayley looked rather confused by this. So I wonder what this means for the future of Damage Control.
I think Bayley's being kicked out of Damage Control.
I think you're probably right.
I think the Japanese girls are taking over. Bayley will be put out.
I also saw, I don't know if this is true or not, I saw something on the Instagram that said that they are also bringing Saray back. So I don't know if they're going to throw her in the same group as them, but.
Oh, right. Yeah, it could well be.
Which is timely because we just talked about how Saray disappeared from TV, and then I saw that, this week.
Yeah. Oh, dear. Yeah, luckily, yeah. So that's two that we know haven't been released or been rehired, whichever.
Yeah. Well, I know Kyrie was doing some stuff with. Didn't she face Sasha in New Japan? Wasn't it Kyrie versus?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she had to have been released.
I think she was doing sort of ambassador work in Japan for WWE.
Yeah, she was for a while. Yeah.
So I think more like an open contract that she could do stuff as long as it's in Japan and not on American TV.
Yeah, that could possibly be. Yeah. Logan Paul is the United States champion now.
Yes.
So that's something. See how long that lasts.
And we have a new prediction champion.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that one.
Yes.
Glenn is the winner. He is the prediction champion. Congratulations, Glenn.
First time.
Is it?
Yeah, it's the first time. It says us three have been doing it.
Maybe we've been co-champions, but it's probably your first solo championship.
Yeah, it is my first solo championship.
Well, holy shit, Glenn. You'll get to hold on until at least Survivor Series.
Yeah, and that's going to be a bastard to call that is.
Well, especially if you're going to have War Games matches, so.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting, setting that up. Literally, other than the 5-way women's match, the match that I thought was the least exciting was the main event. It wasn't bad, but it just meh.
Yeah, I just think that's the trouble with. I don't really want to say it because there's been so much about it that Roman Reigns matches are what they are. It takes something really special to elevate a Roman Reigns match. The trouble with that is, after time, is he's going to win.
And you know how he's going to win.
Yeah, so we're waiting to see what happens now. They've got to... Because by the time they're going to do exactly what they did with Cody, by the time they put the title, if they decide to put the title on LA Knight, by the time they do, it'll be all the heat, all the love that he's getting at the moment. It would have cooled off.
Yeah, but then
they got it right with Seth Rollins. They created this new title and gave it to him just at the right time. And there's no sign of it cooling off with him at the moment, with everybody singing along.
Yeah. Even though every month we one of us picks for him to lose, but it was
yeah. Yeah. There's on Raw last night, they had him against Sammy.
Oh yeah, that's what you said, yeah.
And you got two so over faces, yeah. They were still cheering for Seth Rollins. So,
and like the mayor said to us, I didn't realize until he said this, but Rollins is the only babyface champion they have on the main roster. He's the only one.
He is, especially now that Logan Paul is the US champion. Yeah, it's on. I think same could be said on NXT, couldn't it? Who's
Ilya? I think Ilya's a babyface. Right?
Ilya's a babyface, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Laura Valkyrie isn't she's a babyface too.
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah, I forgot that she won that. That was really good as well.
They have all babyface champions though, because they got Chase She was the tag team champions too. So they're the total opposite. They're the opposite side of the coin. They're all babyfaces down there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting. So I mean, with Survivor Series coming up, it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure it'll be like a Cody's team versus like the Judgment Day or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be, isn't it?
And then I don't know what they'll do with the women's one, but hopefully they tell a better story with it, because last year it just felt thrown together. And please, during War Games matches, stop doing the thing where guys put 20 weapons in the ring. Don't do that. Stop doing that.
I would have said, the timings are all wrong on the women at the moment, because if this sort of damage control breakup had been like a month ago, they would have had all that time, as you say, to bring Sarai in and have the Japanese girls plus a couple of other heels against Bailey, who would has to turn.
Yeah.
And a crew of hers.
Right.
That'd be too rushed.
It'll be interesting to see what they do with Dakota Kai now, because I don't even think Dakota Kai's clear to even wrestle right now. So
no, she doesn't. She just walks around a lot.
Yeah, it makes great TikTok videos with Kathy Kelly.
All right.
Don't ask me how I know that, Glenn, but I know it. Anyway,
what are you doing your private time is your own business.
Thank you, Glenn. It's mostly, I usually watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and play college football on my phone. That's what I do with my free time most of the time. Or, Glenn, sometimes when I have free time, I watch some 1997 WWF wrestling, and I did that yesterday, last night. You were watching Raw, and I was watching In Your House, number 16, Glenn. It's Canadian Stampede. You ready to talk about this thing?
Certainly do. We have been blessed. All the crap pay-per-views that we've had up to this point, and they go and launch us with this one.
Yeah, I can't even think back to any of the pay-per-views that I thought were great. I think there was maybe one good one. Yeah.
This is even better than WrestleMania.
Oh, this is 100 times better than WrestleMania 13. WrestleMania 13 had one good match on it. And that was the thing with a lot of these pay-per-views. A lot of these pay-per-views have one or two good matches on it, but they're not good shows because everything else on it's bad. So this is really the first great show that we're going to review from 1997, because this one literally from top to bottom is like a nonstop good match after good match after good match.
It was.
It takes place on July the 6th in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, at the Saddle Dome. The Saddle Dome, which opened in 1983, it is home currently to the NHL's Calgary Flames. Also the Calgary Hitmen, which is a WHL, which is a World Hockey League team that was actually founded by Bret Hart, and he is the inspiration for the team. I don't think he's one of the owners now, but I think when they first started the team, he was one of the owners. This was the one and only pay-per-view that's ever been ran at this building, but they have had lots of house shows, and AEW and WWE have both ran TVs at this building both just this summer. So they still visit the Saddle Dome to this day for WWE and even AEW. So we get into the pay-per-view here, and I love the black and white preview for the pay-per-view that they do with the ominous voice in the background, and I just think it's really, really good. I love them.
Yeah. It's for anybody that hasn't watched the regular weekly shows up to this point, it basically tells you where we are. With Bret Hart being a heel in America, but a face everywhere else, and Austin being the opposite, and
tonight the Hearts will be the heroes and the American wrestlers will be the villains, is basically what they're saying here. What I found most interesting is we come in, the Canadian fans are going crazy. They love Bret Hart, but they can't spell his fucking name right on the signs, Glenn. They still got two fucking T's. God damn it.
I know.
Every time, Glenn. We're in Canada. We love Calgary's native son, but we can't spell his fucking name
right. It's just something you have to put up with. I do all the time where people only spell my name with one N.
No, there's two N's in there, God damn it.
Yeah.
Your name is Glenn, not Glenn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's okay, because my entire life people have called me Brett. It's like, oh, nice to meet you. What's your name, Brent?
Yeah.
Brett? Yeah, I'm Brett.
Yeah.
So they showed the commentary team here, Glenn, and they've all got cowboy hats on. And I'm not 100% sure, but is this the first time no, Jim Ross's first cowboy hat was at the Royal Rumble in Texas, right? In
Yeah,
97?
that's right. Yeah. Yeah, because the kid was taking the piss out of him on that one.
Well, and like you would think Vince, JR, and the King all have cowboy hats on. JR is normal. You think Vince is going to look the most ridiculous, but Jerry the King Lawler has the biggest, most obnoxious cowboy hat that you've ever seen in your life. It looks like one of those ones you would buy as like a joke, like that says Macho Man on the side. It was literally that big.
It was. It was that sort of thing. Don't kick that hat. There's something underneath it.
Yeah, no shit. I don't even like. He had to have taken that off to call the matches. How could he have seen anything?
He couldn't have. It's because he was trying to. When they were doing the back and forth at the beginning, he was trying to peer under it to see what was going on.
Another thing about the opening that I thought was funny is Vince tells us that tonight we're going to see an extraordinary Japanese match.
Yes.
And that's all he could tell us. He doesn't know anything else besides that extraordinary Japanese match.
Yeah. You notice how quiet he was during that as well. It was JR did most of the commentary on that match.
Yeah, JR does the heavy lifting on that one. The very first match of the show is really a grudge match. It's Mankind taking on Hunter Hearst Helmsley. They go in the back. Oh no! I mean, well, as they're coming to the ring here, I made in my notes here like China looked like she had been chiseled from stone at this point. Like she looks amazing, like fantastic.
And Vince, he's having orgasms.
Oh, goddamn!
Jesus! All those muscles and a vagina. Oh God!
God damn it, pal!
Yeah.
Look at her traps. I wish my traps looked like that.
Yeah.
We get a video package, of course, replaying the feud between Hunter and Mankind. Hunter, of course, beat Mankind in the King of the Ring finals. It was also narrated by Doc Hendricks, who sounded like an old radio host.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Watch how Triple H, and you just sounded really funny.
It was.
They got Howard Finkel in a fucking cowboy hat, too. He's even wearing one. So everybody's wearing a cowboy hat. Yeah, so Mankind then comes down to the ring, gets a big reaction, big pop from the Canadian fans here. These two waste no time as they immediately start brawling as soon as Mankind gets in the ring. What did you think about this one, Glenn?
This was really good. It was what it was in the ring. It's a feud.
Right.
The good thing about this is the way that Triple H won the King of the Ring and then beat poor old Mankind afterwards. Then Mankind has got genuine grievance against him, which actually makes for good wrestling matches when somebody's actually got a grievance against somebody. And he's not just thrown together for no reason.
They're not just two guys fighting for whatever reason. Like you're giving me they have a reason to care about beating this person up, so I have a reason to care while they have this feud. Yeah, definitely. One thing I liked in this match is Mankind hit like a double arm DDT, and then he mocked Triple H, just a little bow that he does, which I thought was pretty cool. Mankind, like he's back by, drops Triple H over the top rope. He hits that running elbow that he does off the apron. Even gives a little bang at the end, so they're still hinting at that.
I know before Mankind is looking at China and she tells him to kiss her butt, and he says it's lucky I'm a good kisser.
He likes that.
Yeah,
he likes to say that. Yeah, so it looks like Triple H is going to leave, but Mankind like chases him down and gives him a suplex on the ramp. Mankind's got the mandible claw locked in, but it's like he's like toward the bottom rope, and the referee's like not really looking, and China just like hauls off and slugs him right in the face, and that breaks that whole thing from happening. Mankind goes after her. Triple H attacks him from behind. There's some like a chair involved. This is really a hard hitting matchup. My only complaint is that like there was no finish, but I guess I can't really complain because it's building to another story. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You think, oh well, it didn't go anywhere, but then it lasts the whole show.
Yes,
it was just fighting everywhere throughout the building.
Yeah,
it was great. None of it took away from anything else on the show. I think this is part of what made the show so good, is that when you had a lull or a point where normally they'd throw in some stupid vignette or something,
Right.
they just went to Mankind and Triple H brawling.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really good. Maybe I've said this before on the show, but like watching Triple H when I was younger and coming up watch wrestling, he was never like a guy I looked forward to watching or somebody I thought is like my favorite wrestler. But like when I go back and watch him now as an older wrestling fan, I really appreciate Triple H and really value watching the way he works in the ring, because there's just a certain way that he carries himself and a certain way that he does it. And maybe because I'm more of an old school wrestling fan and I'm like more relate to that now, I'm way more into Triple H now than I ever was when he was actually in ring competitor, honestly.
Yeah, it was it. You've got two really good doing it, and the whole story, and this is going to build to better things as well.
Yeah,
I can remember having at least one more, if not two, really good matches after this.
I know they definitely have a cage match at the SummerSlam pay-per-view coming up. That's really, really good. I think it's one of the last ones in the big blue steel cage, as I've got displayed here. But yeah, so basically Hunter hits Mankind with a chair on the knee. He really starts working on Mankind's knee. The Bulls start got brawling around ringside. They end up fighting into the crowd, and then we get a double count out. Really good opening match. Awesome stuff. And then they're brawling throughout the arena. They're making a big deal that they're fighting inside the penalty box because, as I said, this is a hockey arena. So. Yeah, it's finally security separates them. Hunter's busted open. And they, like Glenn said, this is going to be a running theme throughout the show. We're going to continue to see Hunter and Mankind just brawling throughout the arena. Then Glenn, we get some highlights from the Calgary Stampede Parade that apparently goes on every year in Calgary. And Glenn, do you want to hear some information about the Calgary Stampede?
Oh, I've been anxiously waiting for this.
I wish I could have found more like information about the specific 1997 Calgary Stampede Parade, but I couldn't. I wish I could have. So the Calgary Stampede Parade takes place every year. It's been going on since the 1920s. It is a rodeo exhibition and festival held every July for 10 days. It's billed as the greatest outdoor show on earth, Glenn. Doesn't that sound exciting?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Every year, one person is named the marshal of the parade, and they've even had some big names that have been the marshal of this parade, including William Shatner. You heard of William Shatner, of course. Thank you. Mickey and Minnie Mouse. You're familiar with Mickey and Minnie Mouse?
I'm familiar with that pair, yes.
And Bob Hope. You know Bob Hope too, right?
Yes.
In 1997, actor Jack Palance was. Do you know Jack Palance?
He was a really good baddie.
Oh yeah, he's in City Slickers. He was in Shane. He was in Tango and Cash.
Yeah. Mysterious guy. Always a good baddie.
I'm not like see, in America we call a baddie something else. Like Selena Vega would be a baddie in America.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I'm not familiar with him, but I do know the movie Shane. That's a pretty good cowboy flick.
Yeah.
So, and they also pick a queen and two princesses to be selected as Stampede royalty. Now, this isn't the same thing that Diana Hart was, which was Miss Calgary, or Mrs. Calgary.
Mrs. Calgary, yeah.
She's married. This isn't the same thing because these have to be between the ages of 19 and 24, so only young women. The emphasis is placed on horsemanship skills, Glenn, and the ability to serve as an ambassador for both the Stampede and the city, Glenn. The Royal Trio serves a 1-year term, and they make, Glenn, listen to this, they make over 100 fucking appearances all over that year around town. Can you imagine?
I can.
Good
it
Lord.
Happens over here as well. They don't quite go so much on the horsemanship. It's more whether the young ladies are well endowed or not.
It doesn't mean that, and it doesn't mean they want to find out if you can, they can have sex with the 4 horsemen. That's not what that means.
No.
That's not what it means. It means right horses.
Yeah, right.
I just want to clarify.
Yeah. Over here, it would be more like
anyway,
horsemen, but yeah.
And in 1997, Holly Cartwright was the 1997 Queen of the Calgary Stampede Parade, Glenn. So there you go. I know you've been waiting for it, and there you go. You got your information on the Calgary Stampede Parade.
Thank you.
So, Glenn, if you ever want to go to Calgary, July is the time to go.
Mm-hmm.
For the greatest outdoor show on earth. Anyway, we then get an interview with the Harts. They don't get very far into the interview because Stone Cold comes storming in the locker room. The officials have to pull him out. And Bret Hart says, that he wants us to beat him up 5-1. That way he can have an excuse later. But we're not going to do that. We're going to wait until it's 5-on-5 because they're baby faces tonight.
Yeah. They would have quite, if it been the other side of the border, they would have quite happily beat him up 5-on-1.
Yeah, if they were in Detroit, they would have whooped his ass.
Yeah, as they have done quite often lately.
Yeah. And then we get into what could possibly be the best match on this show. Two relatively unknowns to American fans at this point. Taka Michinoku, people will come to know him in later years, and Kai and Tai. And he's going to take on the Great Sasuke. They tell us that we're going to get a pre-recorded promo from Sasuke, but then instead, Mankind and Hunter Hearst Helmsley are back out here brawling through the crowd again.
Exactly.
And I understand, I like this too because it got the crowd up and excited, because otherwise, most of these people probably don't know these guys either. So at least they got them up and excited before the match started. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But eventually
apparently Suzuki had appeared at an ECW pay-per-view back in April. In 97, so there may be a few in the crowd that would have known who he was, has seen him in an ECW ring.
Yeah, and I'm sure people who were tape traders and big to into Japanese wrestling knew who this guy was, because he's like a legend over there. I think he owned. He was the owner and promoter of Michinoku Pro, I believe, back in those days. Which I once watched a Michinoku Pro match, and it was a thing called the Great Space War. Have you ever heard of this, Glenn?
No, I haven't.
It was the most fucking ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. I can't even explain it to you. It was an orgy of wrestling nonsense is what it was.
That's very Japanese.
And I'm going to have to look it up and see if I can find it, because we might have to watch that someday, because it's something, that's for sure.
Definitely.
Glenn, what do you think of this match? I thought it was amazing.
It was an amazing match. The only thing, Michinoku does a Michinoku driver, and Suzuki kicks out of it. Either have it as a finish or don't have him do it.
Right. It was almost as if someone told him before he went out there, no matter what, you're not going to win the match, but no matter what you do, make sure you do it Michinoku driver, because the people need to see it, because it's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. This match really had everything you wanted. At the beginning, it had good mat wrestling. It had some really stiff shots. There was one point where Taka was down in the corner and Sasuke kicked him square in the face, and I'm pretty sure I saw Taka's soul leave his body for a split second.
Yeah.
Because he kicked the fucking shit out of him. It was an amazing match. They even were fucking high flying all over the place. It was really good. It was awesome.
Yeah. And Vince was totally so far behind everything that was going on. He must have called finishes about 3 times, even by his standards. And it's all over. Oh, no, it's not.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Yeah, there was a lot of that.
It's so funny when you watch the Attitude Era and you hear what Vince actually sounds like when he talks, as opposed to what he's trying to sound like he sounds when he does commentary. It's fucking hilarious.
It is.
He totally changes his voice.
Yeah.
So a really great match. Sasuke wins it with a power bomb followed by a double underhook suplex. If it wasn't for the main event, I would say that was the best match on the show. But the main event's just too good. Yeah. We then go out to the parking lot, Glenn, where we don't have a parking lot party or a tailgate party. Nope, we've got more Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Mankind brawling.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's just so good that it's happening everywhere and all over the place. And like I say, they're fitting it in at appropriate moments.
Yeah.
It's not being It didn't suddenly come on the screen and take 3/4 of the screen, and you had Michinoku Suzuki up in the top corner, which they've done before.
Yeah, that was my greatest fear for this. Is I'm like, fuck, half the Sasuke Michinoku match is gonna be on fucking split screen, isn't it? But thankfully it wasn't. They did it before and after. But yeah, man, Hunter throws Mankind into a bunch of kegs of beer. He breaks a shovel over his back. Hunter goes for a pedigree, but Mankind backdrops him. Hunter's bleeding everywhere. They finally get him broken up. And I think that's the last time we see him, isn't it?
No, you see them once more.
Oh, okay. I wasn't 100% sure. They then get into the upcoming Undertaker versus Vader match, where they tell us the story about how it was supposed to be Undertaker versus Ahmed Johnson. But unfortunately, Ahmed Johnson is very injury prone and tore his knee in an interview segment. And so now he's not going to get his title match. And so instead, it's going to be Vader. We get an interview with Paul Bearer. And Doc Hendricks asks him, how can he look himself in the mirror after what he said about the Undertaker? And Paul Bearer said, how can he look at himself in the mirror? He's the one who's a murderer, not me. He killed his family. And it's going to get even worse tonight when he loses the championship to Vader. And then they remind us of how Vader defeated the Undertaker at the Royal Rumble. And Paul Bearer says tonight's going to be deja vu.
Yes.
So yeah, that's the next match. It's Vader versus the Undertaker for the WWF.
Even in retrospect, you don't wish injuries on anybody, but I am so glad they were forced to change this, because this was a million times better than Ahmed Johnson against Undertaker would have been.
Yeah, this was definitely better than that would have ever been. Yeah. Vader comes down first. Undertaker gets a massive pop from the crowd. I love the reaction of Vader. The Undertaker at this time, the lights would go down and he would get to the ring steps and he would raise his hands for it to go up and they would like light off a big boom. And Vader really sold the boom. Like, oh my God. Like, what the hell is that?
As if he didn't.
As if he hadn't been here before.
Yeah.
And Vince McMahon says, the Undertaker looks like he's really ready to rock Vader's world.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure at that point if they were going to have a wrestling match or make love to each other. I wasn't sure.
It's all right. The Yeti doesn't get involved, so there's
no Yeti in this match. That's good.
There's no world rocking goes on.
Another funny thing that was funny is like the Undertaker's getting in the ring and Paul Bearer is like behind the apron, like looking over.
Yeah, hiding.
Yeah, I thought that was really good too. But man, certainly a physical matchup.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
Taker starts off by hitting old Vader quite hard, shall we say.
Yeah, there was a lot of dishing it and giving it back out in this match.
Yeah,
for sure. So this is one of the better matches I think I saw Vader have in the WWF, because let's be honest with ourselves, he didn't have a whole lot of great matches when he came to WWF. It was mostly in WCW.
WCW were his better days.
Yeah, but this was definitely one of the best matches I've seen him have, because I think he really thrives, obviously, when he can wrestle a guy who doesn't mind, taking a couple potatoes. And not having to fly all around the ring as opposed to Shawn Michaels screaming at him and stomping on his head.
That's it.
Paul Bearer takes off his shoe at one point and starts beating the Undertaker with it. And JR with the line of the night says he'll hurt him more with the smell of it.
Yeah. When he started doing that, all like, oh dear, it was so funny.
Yeah, it was really good. It's not something you see very often.
No.
So the crowd was like super into most of these matches, and like, particularly this one, when they would cut to the hard cam, whatever the hard camera person was standing on, the crowd was so loud that it was literally shaking. You could see the hard cam shaking. They were so loud.
It was rather, they were a noisy lot.
They were.
It all seems to be the way whenever the WWF or WWE are not in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, there was that run there where I think they had like 3 or 4 pay-per-views or premium live events that weren't in America, and they were all like the best crowds. And we were like, in America, you don't deserve pay-per-views anymore. We're doing them all internationally.
It's familiarity breeds contempt.
Right.
If you've got one pay-per-view every 6 years or something, you make the most of it.
Right.
I think, going off of this just very quickly, I think that next year AEW will suffer for that. Having back-to-back all-outs or whatever it is, all-ins or whichever one it is, at Wembley again next year. I think you're going to end up with familiarity breeding contempt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you sell it out the first time because it's a novelty, but you can't guarantee having it. Have it. Go somewhere else for a couple of years and then come back again, so it's fresh again.
Right. Yeah, I get what you mean. I get what you mean there, and it's like here in America, every city that you live in, the WWE is going to come around to your city at least once a year. I mean, I live in Lincoln, Nebraska, and every year SmackDown comes here. They're going to be here in January. Every year it happens. So, and I figure I would probably get more excited about it if I only went to a show every 5 years. You know what I mean?
That's right.
But anyway, so
that was what was so good about the Clash at the Castle. It's the first WWE event I've been to since 1992.
Right. So, yeah, goddamn. That's awesome. So I mean, it's not awesome that you hadn't been in a show since 1992, but I'm sure it was awesome to be there.
Yeah.
Taker goes for a choke slam. Vader hits a low blow up. For some reason, there's not a disqualification. I'm not 100% sure. And then like Undertaker tries to hit a tombstone, but Vader tries to reverse it. But like they must have had some sort of a mishap because Undertaker just ended up landing on top of Vader. And I don't think that was what was planned.
No. It's like that with the ending of it. I don't think that quite went to plan either. And I'm trying to find a note on it.
Here we go. We got it. We're gonna find it.
I can't find it. I don't know. I must have just got caught up in the ending and then forgot.
So Vader is up on the ropes. He looks like he's going to go for a Vader bomb, but Taker sits up. He pays the Vader back with a low blow of his own. He then choke slams him from the middle rope, but that only gets a 2 count. He then picks up Vader, gives him another choke slam, but and then he kicks out again. So then he tombstones him, and then he does get the 3 count for the win. And then he chased Paul Bearer to the back after the match, I believe.
Yeah, that's it. Because he tries to pick him up and he doesn't quite manage it, and then he finally gets him up and tombstones him.
Yeah.
I don't think Leon actually helped him the first time, then realised that it was a time to go home and he needed to help and get up.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as like this championship run that Taker's had since running at WrestleMania 13, I think this is like the second best match of his run, other than the match he had with Mankind. I mean, it was a very good match.
No, I'm enjoying this version of Taker, seeing this again.
Yeah, the only thing I don't think we have liked was the whole thing with Farouk and him, because it just, I don't know, it just wasn't.
Oh, that just didn't work, did it?
Yeah, it just didn't work.
To be fair, no, and sadly for Ron Simmons, the whole Farouk thing hasn't worked, really. It didn't work against Ahmed Johnson. It didn't work against The Undertaker.
Yeah. Luckily, he's going to pick up this young and up-and-comer named The Rock soon to be in his group.
Yes.
And then that's going to work out for The Rock, but not so much for Farouk. Or Ahmed Johnson, for that matter.
Yeah.
They show us more of the Harts doing stuff around Calgary this weekend. They talk about how Bret Hart had a line of a mile long to sign autographs. And he signed every single one of them, they said. Then we get a video package because they're we're getting hyped for the main event, which is coming up next. They talk about how the gang warfare is taking over the WWF, and they showed the DOA coming in, and then the Los Boricuas, and the Nation of Domination, and then they talk about the whole feud between Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin, the 5-on-5 match tonight, and then we get a pre-match promo from the American team, for lack of a better one. I don't know.
Team Austin.
Austin's team.
Team Austin, yeah.
Doc asks them how they feel about being the underdog. I can't even remember who talked first, but they said something about Clint Eastwood. It was Goldust. Yeah.
Goldust.
Clint Eastwood, and we've got the best 5 going, and Ken Shamrock says the same thing Ken Shamrock always says: nobody can get in my zone. Once they get in my zone, it's time to knuckle up, as he says. Animal says that this match has nothing to do with the U.S. versus Canada. It's all to do about the survival of the fittest. And Hawk says, what does Hawk say, Glenn?
What a rush!
That's right, he does. And then they look like Bret Hart. It looks like Stone Cold Steve Austin's going to say something, but then he just leaves. And then, Glenn, we head out to the ring, and it's time to stand on your feet and sing the Canadian national anthem, because we've got the Farmer's Daughters, apparently a female group.
Yes.
That's a hell of a name, Glenn. Farmer's Daughters are very popular here in Nebraska, but not the musical group, just Farmer's Daughters in general. Actually, Glenn, hold on. I want to tell you some of the hits that the Farmer Daughters have had over the years. You ready?
Go on, then.
So they were active from 93 until 2005. So Girls Will Be Girls. That sounds like a fun one. I Want to Hold You. Family Love. That one sounds very redneck.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Yeah. Son of a Preacher Man, which I'm pretty sure is a re-record.
Yeah, that was done. Yeah.
Calling All Cowboys. Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You Said. Blue Horizon. Walking in the Sunshine. You and Only You. And the last one I've got here is Your Good Girls Gonna Be Bad.
That's because they called all the Cowboys.
That's clearly that's what
nice.
Well, yeah, so there you have it. You got a lot of information about Canada in this show. They were very popular in Canada, apparently. You being a DJ, Glenn, you should have known that.
I had never heard of the Farmer's Daughter before.
There's a song called The Farmer's Daughter, I believe. Yeah, a country song, of course. Of course, it's a country song. It wouldn't make much sense to have a rap song called The Farmer's Daughter, would it?
No, not really.
That would be rough.
Yeah.
Anywho, so yeah, it's the main event. We get It's Goldust, Ken Shamrock, LOD, Steve Austin, and taking on the Hart Foundation. Goldust makes his way to the ring first. They let us know that Marlene is not with him because apparently their daughter's at home sick this evening. And Vince called her a super corner person, which made me laugh.
Yes, yeah. Is it super cool person and a super wife or something?
Super wife, super mom, and a super corner person.
That's it, yeah.
I'm sure when Marlena was a little girl, she just thought, if I could just be a super mom, a super wife, and a super corner person. So like most of these guys got booed except for LOD. I think LOD was the only American team guys that got a little bit of the pop from the crowd.
Yeah. Well, they would, wouldn't they? That just seems to be.
There was just 2 ladies in the crowd though, Glenn. They had Shamrock. They had a Shamrock.
Oh yeah, I did notice those.
Yeah,
I did notice those two. So did the King.
Those would have been a couple of over Farmer's Daughters, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, and then Stone Cold Steve Austin, of course, the people are just fucking going ape shit in a negative way. Everyone's booing, and Austin is eating this up because you can tell he liked to be hated, and he tried to be hated in America, but it didn't work. We cheered him anyway, and now he's loving this.
Yeah, where Ken Shamrock is absolutely hating not being loved.
Yeah, he doesn't know what to do.
Ken Shamrock can't be a heel.
But Austin's eating this up, and then they bring out the Hearts one by one. I mean, Pillman comes out, and these people are going crazy, and no Hearts have even came out yet. They bring up the Anvil, they get a little bit louder. They bring out Davey, who's got Mrs. Calgary with him, Diana Hart. The people go crazy. Owen comes out, the people really go nuts, and then Bret Hart comes out, and forget about it. The whole roof blew off the Saddle Dome.
Just before that, there was a sign they cut to. This is so typically 1990s WWF sign, and it said, "Ken Shamrock fights like a girl."
That was a big insult in the 90s. You do things like a girl, yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. I didn't catch that, but that's funny. Yeah, like I'm not even kidding. Like when Finkel was announcing Brett's name, you could barely hear it.
You couldn't. Yeah, the whole place was going bananas.
And I think they had to turn the music up too, because at first you could barely even hear his music. Like it was so loud.
Yeah.
So we get into the ring, everybody's, there's a big stare down between everybody in there. I mean, the people are going crazy. It's a pretty fucking awesome moment. Like if you just sit there and just take that in, it's a pretty fucking awesome moment.
Yeah, of course. There's when they show the Hart family, the King has his usual pop at Stu and Helen Hart.
Yeah,
about how old they are and everything.
I think Brett gave his mom his glasses, and the King said, "I don't think they made those in bifocals." And I think the King said something like, "Somebody made that joke in 1970. It wasn't funny then, and it ain't funny now." But yeah, so I mean, Brett and Austin are the ones that start off the match, and
that's excellent. Yeah, that's really good. You've got the two main antagonists. Get them in the ring early. Get the crowd still heated up nicely.
Oh yeah,
because if you had say Goldust against Pillman as a start, the crowd would have gone down a little bit.
Right.
But the fact that you've got Brett and Austin kicking it off is a real good move.
Yeah, I mean they're going back and forth. Brett starts stomping Austin in the corner, and I really can't get over it. The crowd was just when he's stomping Austin in the corner, people are fucking losing their shit. Everybody in there. There's not a person sitting down. Austin's able to fight back. He hits a low blow on Bret Hart. I've noticed they don't DQ for shit anymore.
No, there was a couple of low blows in that Undertaker and Vader match, and it just got ignored.
They're just like, fuck it. And even in the Mankind Triple H match, there's at one point where Triple H has got him in the figure four and he's grabbing the ropes for leverage. And the referee catches him fucking doing it. And he doesn't make him break the hold. I'm like, what? Why wouldn't you have to make him break the hold, wouldn't you? So yeah, I mean that's I want to nitpick one thing. The officiating is piss poor on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could really go back and forth for an hour talking about all the crazy shit that happened in this match. Why don't you give me some notes that you took from it?
There was that thing at the beginning where Brett is, as you say, he's hammering Austin in the corner, and the roof's nearly coming off the building. Then Austin reverses it and starts beating on Brett, and the boos. They was at that sort of level that Dominic Mysterio's getting now, where you couldn't hear a thing for the booing.
Yeah, it reminded me like of Rock versus Hogan. Like that's the kind of cheers and boos it was going.
Yeah, that's about the only take from that little bit, but there'll be a bit more coming, I suppose, because we just get Shamrock and Anvil in next. Yeah, that's the only thing about these multi-men matches is that this one was very formulaic as well.
Yeah,
very small nitpick. Nobody, Austin and Brett tagged out first at the same time, so then we get Shamrock and Jim Neidhart in there.
Yeah, I mean, then Pillman gets in the ring too. He like rakes Shamrock eyes. He bites Shamrock's face. He spits in his face.
Oh yeah, that was it. It was the Anvil trying to do martial arts stances. Oh, Ken Shamrock.
Oh yeah, that was silly.
That was quite funny.
Yeah. There was a one where he like ducked the kick and he looked at the look he gave Shamrock was just so funny. Like, you kidding me? That's how he looked at him.
Yeah, but Pillman's really up for this. But obviously the crowd's got the adrenaline going. He's not been in the ring much for a long time.
Yeah, that was another thing that I took away from this too. Is like it was a shame that Pillman didn't get to do more in WWF than he did, because like literally we barely even saw him wrestle.
That was it. That was down to, I think, partly down to the fact that he was trying to push himself too hard.
Yeah.
Rather than accepting he had to wrestle in a different way, he kept on getting himself injured in training,
Right.
trying to get himself back to the level. And of course, then you start getting these things with the painkillers and everything else.
Yeah.
And the old demons kick in, and
yeah, and
so
unfortunately, we'll talk about that at some point too coming up.
Yeah.
The Bulldog gets in there and he utilizes this vertical suplex. He does it on Hawk, which I mean the crowd went fucking insane for that one too. Like I feel like they were popping harder for Davey than even Owen. I thought Davey got the second loudest pops.
They did, especially when he got Hulk over his head.
Yep.
Power slammed him. You don't see the Road Warriors thrown around much, but David was doing a good job of it there.
Yeah, he's probably one of the only people who could throw those guys around.
Yeah.
So then we get Goldust and Bret Hart kind of facing off. I know we've seen it before, but it's interesting to see, two second generation guys in the ring working together. Of course, we get multiple times where the match breaks down and everybody starts just brawling.
Yeah, well, there's a bit where they get Goldust in it because he does it so. Dustin Rhodes or Runnels or whatever. He does it so well when he gets himself in that tree of woe and sells so well. And then, of course, you got all the Hearts in here beating on him, the baying crowd for blood.
Yeah, that was a cool spot. Another thing that was fun was it was cool to see Owen Hart get babyface reactions because most of my life when I watched Owen wrestle, he was a heel and everybody booed the living daylights out of him whenever he came out there. So it was interesting to see him getting some babyface reactions because I don't ever remember seeing that as a child.
Then we get the usual breakdown as would happen, where Austin gets hold of a chair and attacks Owen's leg, and then the whole of the bloody Hart family get involved.
Yeah, so like Austin takes Owen, he like runs his knee into the turnbuckle post a couple of times. He goes and gets a chair, hits him a few times. Yeah, he I think one of the Hart brothers threw a drink on him.
Yeah, Bruce,
of course it was Bruce. And then Bret kind of does the same thing to Austin. He pulls his leg over there. He gets I think it was a fire extinguisher, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He gets a fire extinguisher, wails on Austin's knee, puts the figure 4 around the knee, and they carried Owen out, and then once this happens to Austin, they carry Austin out too. So we're basically looking at a 4-on-4 match after this, at least for a little while. I thought it was funny that JR was like, it looks like Austin might be out of it, and Vince says, I wouldn't bet on
it. You get the feeling that Vince has given up even trying to give Steve Austin basic instructions at this point.
Yeah, it's like fucking.
It's basically, I don't you're making me millions in merch. Just go and do what you want to do.
I don't care, man. Whatever. Yeah. I thought it was interesting. Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart did like an old Hart Foundation move where Jim put him over his knee for the backbreaker and Bret came off the middle rope with the elbow, which obviously that got a big pop from the crowd because of, reminiscent of the old Hart Foundation stuff. I thought that was really cool.
There's another note I got here about the LOD is that they were like a couple of excited dogs at times because of the crowd, I think. And they were just going running and attacking people for the.
Yeah, I think adrenaline was definitely kicking in.
Just random members of the Hart family just going and attacking. The adrenaline was definitely very high, or something was.
Yeah, so they have Shamrock on the outside. Pillman like throws him into the French announce table, maybe. I'm not 100% sure which table it was. And then they throw Hawk into the ring stairs. So people are flying everywhere. Eventually, Austin comes back down to the ring. He gets Bret in the sharpshooter, and then Owen comes back down and saves Bret Hart from the sharpshooter. Everything starts to break down. Austin's fighting outside the ring. He grabs one of the Hart brothers. I think it's Bruce. Pulls him over the rail. Brett comes out there. He kind of fights Austin off. He throws Austin in the ring. Owen rolls him up with the schoolboy for the 1, 2, 3, and the Hart Foundation wins. And then all hell breaks loose after that. Everybody starts fighting. The Harts, the family that's in the front row are in the ring fighting with the guys, and they have to get the Royal Canadian Police out here to stop everything from happening.
It was ridiculous. And what made me laugh is right at the end when all the Hearts, all million of them, are trying to pack into the ring. There's Diana there with her bloody little tiara on, trying to all daintily get in the ring, and there's still people fighting around her and everything.
Yeah, it was pretty silly. Yeah. They get everybody out of the ring. They announce the Hearts as the winner. They all the Hearts start to fill the ring. Austin gets back into the ring. He hits Neidhart with the chair. He then starts getting mobbed by every member of the Hart Foundation that ever lived. They're beating Austin in the ring. Then they handcuff Austin, even though he just got the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah.
And Austin, with his hands behind his back, is flipping off, like bending down and flipping off the crowd as he's walking out. Which is an incredible scene.
It was. Oh.
And then literally you can see Teddy Hart's in the ring. You can see Natty Neidhart's in the ring. You can see Davey Boy Smith Jr.'s in the ring. Tyson Kidd's in the ring. I believe I read in Bret Hart's book that he was even walking around the ring. He saw some kid that he didn't know. He said, "Who are you?" He said, I told him I was a Hart kid. He said, "All right, man, just smile and wave."
Well, there was so many of them.
How would you know? How could anybody know?
Yeah, that's it.
There was at one point too, Jerry Lawler.
Even the Hearts probably did. Brett was probably the only one that actually noticed he wasn't.
Yeah, Stu didn't know. He didn't even know where he was. There was at one point where Jerry Lawler says something like, "And Stewart and Helen Hart are responsible for all of this."
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's a big. I'm sure that they would try to work Stu. I'm sure he was running on batteries by this time, Stu, because his batteries had definitely failed him. There's at one point where they were introducing him. I think it was Bruce. He had to hold his arm up to sort of acknowledge the crowd, like Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, a little bit. It did look Weekend at Bernie's-esque. You are correct. Well, that's it. I mean, that's the best 1997 show we've seen thus far. By far.
Definitely, yeah, by far.
We giving it 4 thumbs up. If I had another thumb, I'd give it
definitely double thumbs up. And this is the sign that we are definitely into the Attitude Era now.
Yeah, because I know the SummerSlam show coming up is good. There's a lot of good stuff on there. So yeah, I think the trajectory of it here is only going to go up.
Because Austin's in full flight, as you say. We've got The Rock coming in soon.
Yep,
and there's a lot to look forward to.
There is a lot. You got what's going to continue to happen with this Undertaker Paul Bearer thing. Shawn Michaels is injured right now. He's going to be coming back soon. There's just a lot that's going to be going on in the late summer months of WWF. So, I think that's it, Glenn. I don't think we have anything else to talk about. You got anything else you want to say about this show? No, it was just a really good show. If you haven't never watched this, I suggest you go and watch it. If you don't have time to watch it all, at least watch the main event. The main event is probably the best 5-on-5 tag team match ever.
It is entertaining. It is funny. It's got a bit of everything.
Yeah, it's one of those matches that really has it all. I mean, this pay-per-view has it all. You should just watch the whole thing. It's only like an hour, 48 minutes. It's not like it's 4 hours.
No, it's perfect pay-per-view.
4 matches, it flew by.
Yeah,
definitely. So give that a watch if you haven't watched it. And also, you should check out all these fabulous people that Glenn is going to plug right now.
I'm booking the territory. They are in full flow at the moment. Hang on a second, where are we? Let's bring them up. So on the old dog and bone, they have done the first and last episodes of WWE Saturday Morning Slam.
Yes. I listened to both of those episodes this morning at work. They were fantastic.
They are.
I understood every word they said. I understood it all. I was with them.
You did. You managed to understand. That's amazing. Yeah, give them a listen. They're also doing. I'm gonna shut them off again.
The Big Daddy, and
yeah. I want to actually bring it up because I know what it. Because they called it unstacking T Dadatory. That's it.
That's good.
Where they're building up to Big Daddy against Giant Haystacks at Wembley, the most watched wrestling match ever, apparently.
And check those guys out if you like to talk about beer too. Except for pumpkin spice beer. That's my one complaint from your guys' show is that lovely lady you have on the show. She's drinking pumpkin spice beer. That's my only complaint.
As Dan said, he had no control on that.
Yeah, you're right.
He's a beginner, so you have to get. You have to start somewhere.
I'll give her a break.
The Doctor Who podcast with
Danny Inside.
They're back. They've done their 2 draft episodes, so they'll be getting into. I think they've got one more draft episode to do, where past guests are picking episodes for them to review, and then they'll be getting into Series 5 properly. Apparently, they've promised me a slot on Series 6, and I'll hold you to that, Dan. And DDT Wrestling with DC and Doc, and of course, Bang Bang Podcast. Andy's back with Steve, and in a few weeks, I'm going to be recording a Christmas special with him.
Holy fuck, Glenn! Christmas is coming, isn't it?
It certainly is, and it involves 2 wrestling Santa Claus.
I love it. I love it.
I think you might know what it is.
I think I do. we won't spoil it, but I think I do.
All right then, that's it.
Well, make sure you check out Sports Wire Radio, and as always, give our buddy Thomas Bryce a follow on all the social medias. It's 2017 or 2020, depending on what social media app that you have. Make sure you check out our Wrestling Classic watch along that we've got out right now. We're currently on episode 2. We get into the semifinals. Some silliness goes on there. Make sure you check out The Life and Times of Psycho Sid. I don't know shit. The Life and Times of Psycho Sid. Make sure you check that out on YouTube as we watch Psycho Sid cut bad promos and destroy poor jobbers. Every Friday that comes out, so make sure you check that out. I believe episode 10, the historic 10th episode, will be out. This is our last WCW episode for now, Glenn. We're gonna head into WWF 1992 after episode 10. So,
right, okay.
So there we go.
So we'll be seeing the start of some careers that we're seeing the end of here.
Oh, and also for AWI Pod Worldwide, we're going to begin the build to WCW Uncensored 2000. This is the show that we're going to be building to.
Excellent.
Wrestling class and classic. And I can't wait to watch some 2000 WCW because it's awful. I don't care what you say, Dan. It's awful.
It is. Anyway.
What I was going to do too is because Worldwide isn't around in the year 2000. So I was going to go through and chop some parts from Nitro and Thunder leading up to it. That would be interesting for us to watch and kind of go from there. So
yeah, that'd be good.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. So be on the lookout for that and everything else we got going on. Subscribe to us on YouTube if you don't already. I don't know what you're doing with your life. You should be. That's it, Glenn. I don't think I have anything else, do I?
No, I think that's it.
Thank God, because I am out of breath. The only thing left to do is for Glenn to say goodbye.
Goodbye.